So let's talk about more on the Aeneid. Let's go back to the Aeneid, which, yes, it was on the horizon during the 20s BC, but let's talk about it, the version of it that has existed until today, which was amended by some of Aeneid's colleagues after his death. So it's regarded as Virgil's magnum opus, his great work, his life work, and what it actually was, it was an epic poem that consisted of 12 books, which is a comparable format to the Iliad or the Odyssey. It's a comparable type of poetry that is not simply one poem, a couple pages of a one poem, followed by a different poem, which lasts a page or more pages. It's a continuous poem that tells of a journey, an epic undertaking, a story. And this particular one that Virgil wrote follows the journey of Aeneas after the fall of Troy, which ends up leading him to found Italy. Early on, Aeneas ventures to Carthage, where he meets Dido, the queen. He recounts to Dido, this queen of Carthage, everything that had taken place for the Trojans, including what happened during the Trojan War and their downfall. And with some intervening on Cupid's part, that is, Cupid, the son of Venus, Aeneas' mother, she ends up falling hopelessly in love with him. So that is, Dido ends up falling hopelessly in love with Aeneas, which ultimately gives Juno an opportunity to keep Aeneas from fulfilling his destiny and founding Italy. So you might ask, why would Juno seek out an opportunity to keep Aeneas from fulfilling his destiny and founding Italy? Well, the answer to that is Juno is a grudge-holding goddess. And the former prophecy went, said, predicted, whatever, that a clan or tribe or people descendant from the Trojans would eventually destroy Carthage. And she loved Carthage. Carthage was her city. So if you think about that, that actually did end up happening because Rome, the Romans, ended up destroying all of Carthage, razing it to the ground, Carthago delinda est, later on. So this is a kind of true description turned into a prophecy that we already knew would happen for creative literature and poetic effect, and serving the purpose of a conflict in the plot of the Aeneid. So here we're going to look at kind of something we just talked about, where Dido is fallen. She's heard everything Aeneas has said and has fallen hopelessly in love with him. And this will ultimately lead to her downfall. She commits suicide. Spoiler alert. She ends up committing suicide because Aeneas has to move on and has this huge funeral pyre. There's a great passage about that too, but we're going to focus on this one where she's just realizing the impact Aeneas' words have had on her. So, actually go back. I will read the Latin first. At regina gravi iam dudum, Salcia cura, monis alit venis et caeco carpiter igni. Multa virtus animo multusque recursat. Gentis honos hierunt in fixi pectore vultus verbaque nec placidam membris dat cura quietum. So here's how the first line goes. So at regina gravi iam dudum, Salcia cura. But the queen, this long time sick with grievous pain. You see that this gravi, which comes from gravis, it's It's a third declension adjective, and it takes the I in the ablative, while cura is a first declension noun, which takes an A in the ablative. I did this translation without macrons because I found it easier. Anyway, so let's go to the second line. So that's our first line. But the queen, this long time, sick with grievous pain, then vulnus alit venis et caeco carpiter igni. Nurses the wound with her veins, her implied, and is consumed by hidden fire. So you see this word alit, third person singular, present, active, infinitive, or imperative, excuse me. It is a word we're quite familiar with, and it can be translated nourish, support, sustain. I think nurses works great here and is a little more embellished and creates a more vivid effect with the blood that runs through her veins as nursing this wound she has for Aeneas. And being consumed by hidden fire. Fire a lot of times could be substituted for passion. Fire is way more dramatic and does hint at that sort of burning pain that she was consumed by. Alright. Next line. Multa viri virtus animo multusque recursat. The great virtue... Oh wait, let me point it out. The great, and in this place, multa means great, not much. The great virtue of the man, viri, genitive, masculine, singular, the great virtue of the man, and the great honor, we're going down to here, of, this is from Anos Honors, of his people. His is implied, this just means people, tribe, clan, nation, what have you, keeps, and then we're going to go ahead and add this next line, keeps recurring. Keeps recurring. Recursat is like to come back, rush home. It keeps coming back to her. So the great virtue of the man and the great honor of his people keeps recurring, and then we have this phrase, just animo, in the mind, implied her mind. So the great virtue of the man, so let's do this again, the great virtue of the man and the great honor of his people keeps recurring in her mind. Then we have hierant infixi pectore vultus. So his looks, and I'm going to have to read the next line too. So hierant infixi pectore vultus verbaque nec placidam membris dat cura quietum. So we'll go ahead and do all of it. His looks and words stick fixed in her breast. We get the pectoral muscle from that word. It's a derivative, English derivative. And this can mean and not, nor, is a short way of saying it. And her concern, or care, or anxiety, or love, pain, as translated by a lot of translators of the Aeneid, love, pain, does not give. So, and her concern does not give. This is negating that her concern does give. So, and her concern does not give peaceful rest to her limbs. This is in the dative case. And her is implied again. So let's do that again. But the queen, this long time, sick with grievous pain, nurses the wound with her veins and is consumed by hidden fire. The great virtue of the man and the great honor of his people keep recurring in her mind. His looks stick fixed, and his words stick fixed in her breast. Nor does her care or her concern give peaceful rest to her members. And this is a very literal translation. What you'll find with most copies of the book that you'll pick up and read today is that they've embellished a lot, take a lot of creative liberty, because they know what the Latin language meant by these words. They know like how to get a better idea of it in our English language today. But this is a very literal word for word translation in which we can see the very vivid writing of Virgil, kind of his really great way with not graphic but vivid imagery in poetry that makes him so well known. And that's it. Thank you.